Hello Space Bandits, I'm Colonel Failure, this is Elite Dangerous Horizons. What you're looking at here is the Colonel's new ride. It's a Lakon Type 7, otherwise known as a brick. And it's a brick that currently is packed to the gills with Imperial Slaves. Yes, this is something of a societal norm in the Empire, who I am trying to level up with because I quite fancy one of their ships, but I'm not a endless ferrying missions about kind of an individual. No, I'm a grind it and suffer kind of a guy. So I've got my cargo all on board, and this is a series I'm going to call The Colonel Wants a Python, and it's going to take me a while to get it. I'll run you through my various holdings momentarily, but this particular route that I'm running here is running out of the Orange sector, yes, and we're heading towards Marquis, yeah, which is one single jump away. Engines engaged. Landing gear retracted. And that's just as well, because the jump range on this thing is pitiful. I've even upgraded the friendship drive on it. That's a Type 9 now. You don't see them every day. Shall I give him some space? I'll give him a bit of space. Just to be on that. Flipping it, what's this? It's rush hour? Come on. Look, I'm a fat boy. Watch where you're flying. I'm going to get into trouble here if I'm not careful. There we go. Yeah, tank it out of there ever so slightly. Right, marvellous. So we're up in the mood. So I've currently got the grand total of 3 million quid in my galactic savings and trust bank account, and that's okay because I've got probably 20 million invested in this Lakon, and I've got another 17 million-ish worth of ship in my ASP, which is currently sat in dry dock back in Orange, waiting for me to take it on some kind of exciting mission. Well, it's got a weight coming because each one of these flights that I take is worth about 450,000 intergalactic space credits. And as such, I need to do, by my calculation, around 20 to 30 of them in order to get myself a Python and fit it out in such a way that I can continue grinding a bit of cash in that, rather than this house brick. Here's the thing. I don't know why I want a Python, other than it's the next ship. I don't have any particular aspirations in it, in terms of, something that I particularly want to get up to. I do quite fancy having a more badass ship than I've had previously, but for combat purposes, the most fun I've had so far was a relatively tricked out Viper. In fact, a pretty well tricked out Viper, it has to be said. Yeah, had a lot of laughs in that, until of course it started getting one-shotted by pirates turning up in anacondas with the scent of blood in their nostrils, waiting to dispatch me in a fairly casual fashion. I since rolled through an ASP. The ASP fantastically useful in an awful lot of different situations. I've been out for a hectic amount of exploring, and if you don't find this tedious, let me tell you that exploring certainly is. I use tedious in a friendly way. I use it in the sense that, what do you mean? You can't say a game is tedious and then say that you're being friendly about it. That does not compute. Well, it does, because this is, it's relaxing. You need very little mind to play a bit of Elite. You can be working out all kinds of other things while this is going on. The challenge I've got, of course, is can I find enough variety of topic to chunter away about, while effectively doing the same thing all the time. Maybe I'll take you on a scouting mission at some point. I'll show you my methodology for a bit of intergalactic frontiersmanship, and we'll see how we all enjoy that together. See, I'm talking about ship, I'm not even flying. The difficulty with this one is it's big. I think the Type 9 might even be an easier fit than this one. Although the Type 9 is very, very wide. This one is quite tall. So unlike some other kind of high-octane parking manoeuvres you've seen me pull, not in this ship you won't. Right, where's me landing pad? Over there, right there. Get me gear down. Hang her in there. And I mean, as you saw in the outfitting bay, the cockpit itself is right at the bottom of the ship. Well, that's odd, because if that's the case, then this thing has ridiculously tall landing gear, as you'll see. There, see, we've landed, and we're what, 50 feet off the deck still. It's very strange. I don't know if you get some, you know, some parking assist. You know, just out of sympathy for the size of ship that you're flying. I do still, after countless hours playing this game, like to ride the lift down and watch this stuff. It is just tremendous to look at. Anyway, arrival, hooray! Give me my money. Straight at the commodities market. There you go. I tell you, you know, the situation with this ship is such, I don't even have a fuel scoop on it. I don't go far enough for it to be worthwhile. Sell the lot, please. So I bought this at around, where are we? So yeah, just shy of 14,000, and we're making 2,200 per ton. And I've got 208 tons. Net benefit 471,000. Magic. Now, prior to this, I made all of my money by running smuggling missions. Again, not something I particularly aspired towards, but I heard tell of these missions that would pay you a couple of million without any fuss whatsoever. And lo and behold, it did. And then they started getting really hard. You know, I've no. It's not the fighting off of piratical and governmental miscreants along the way. It's them. It's failing the mission when they track you down. And when you're looking at, and this obviously I was flying this in my ASP, and you know, taking half an hour only to fail a mission and come away with nothing was a little disheartening, to say the least. So after a few of those, I decided to jack that in and become an honest trade goodsman in slavery. Yeah. See, there's a slight disconnect there between honest and slavery. So there we go. We're done at Marquis. Now, you will have noticed I didn't buy anything. It's because there is not one thing I can buy from Marquis that will generate a profit on the return run. So we don't bother. Charging. I have looked. I have formulated spreadsheets. I have pulled things together. I have done all of the magical bits and pieces that one does to try and calculate a return leg trade. Because even if it only made a couple of thousand, right, it all contributes towards the overall goal of the Colonel needs a Python. But so be it. Still, 500,000 a run, and as you can see, that was, what, 5 minutes there? Including, you know, nothing particularly hasty about the way in which I did it. So we'll be back with, you know, at around the 10-minute mark, I reckon. And then, what will possibly come as a complete surprise, we'll do it again. There we go. So, yeah, there we are, Bessel Gateway. Beloved Bessel Gateway. Let's talk tips and tricks here, people. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. It's worth passing on what little wisdom I have, I suppose. The countdown timer at the bottom, if you hold that around 7 seconds, you're much less likely to overshoot than at any other speed. Now, you want to make sure that you've got the station in between you and the planet, if possible. Otherwise, you can get caught in the planet's gravity well, and that will slow you down on your final approach. And then, the perfect situation is what I'm going to try and pull off here, is come at the station from planet side. So yeah, I know that's a slightly weird way of doing it, but you know, I could get stuck in a slowdown well here. No, I think we'll be all right. If you could, because every single station, the entrance to it faces the planet. And so you can spend less time faffing around once you actually arrive at your destination if you come at it from planet side, because you'll already be largely facing that which you are in the mood for, which is landing. And punch it. Vessel gateway. See, so we were kind of coming from planet side, and there's the entrance right there. I tell you what, for the next one, just to demonstrate that, I know you believe me. What are you doing? You're asking for landing permission.
Docking request.
Yeah, I figure you believe me anyway, but I'll show you what happens when you don't. One safety tip I would give if you're flying a Lacon, the rotation of this thing might not look like much, but when you're trying to drive through the middle of the spinning arms, it goes quite a bit faster than you expect, and your ship can get clipped by one, at which point you will be sobbing into your Cheerios, because this particular ship costs 1.7 million to replace if I stack it. Now, 1.7 million is not huge. I mean, we're looking at what, 4 runs in order to make that happen. Yeah, I'll make a pig zero that. Use a robot.
Landing gear deployed.
Thank you, landing gear. Down, please. Steady on. That's possibly a little aggressive. Straighten her up. Ease her forward. And the station will grab me as I pass. And we can be just a touch more speedy.
Docking successful.
Marvellous.
Engines
Right, enter the
disengaged.
hangar. Starport services. Let's make the magic happen. The magic in question, of course, being commodities market. Go to Imperial Slaves. Buy the lots. Good. So I can only do a few runs of this consecutively because they tend to run out. I tend to ship quite a few of them. And unlike my favoured home base, which is BD plus 73447. Yeah, I know it's a catchy star system name, but I've been there often enough that I know what it's called. In a typical day, no, I'm not going to Orong. We're off to Marquee. BD plus 73447 usually is seen in the region of 4 or 5 ships over the course of 24 hours, and most of them are on their way somewhere else. But it's a nice high-tech system. Unfortunately, it's in Federation space, but they flipping love me there. I have killed so many pirates operating out of that station that they just love it. And that's nice. It's always good to be welcomed home. In fact, there's several stations that, as much as I have got about a bit on the exploration side of things, by and large, I tend to stay put once I'm trying to just make money. See, so I could whip it through there, but I'm not gonna, because it's a good rapid way of stacking your ship. Other ships, ones that aren't, shaped like a breeze block, you might have more success whizzing through there, but I've cut it close enough on numerous occasions, and given my somewhat expensive repair bill, if I were to ruin the ship, I'm not gonna. And I don't think I even take cargo insurance either, and given my cargo's worth 3.5 million, I think it's a great idea. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how is it that you are able to just jauntily skip from one station to the other, and Johnny Pirate doesn't come and try and abscond with all your goodies? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, it's only one jump. Secondly, they're in relatively high security space. and both the originating station and the destination are Empire in nature. I do occasionally get jumped. I got jumped on the very last run I made before I started today, and I got jumped when I didn't have any cargo. Who knows? Who knows what goes? It goes, drop your cargo and we'll talk. And I kind of go, well, that's going to be kind of tricky, given I haven't got any, you buffoon. But, you know, there you go. Right, okay, so we're going to approach this one from a stupid angle, just so that I can demonstrate the difference in terms of the station mouth facing. There we go. What does that look like? Yeah, let's come around from completely the wrong side. Just because at this stage, you do stuff just to break it up a little bit. You know, I could dedicate myself, I could spend 6 hours doing the remainder of this and getting myself ready to be outfitted in, you know, really quite a sophisticated Python, but I don't have the patience for it. I'll do a couple at a time and then go, right, thank you very much. My thinking being, if I do this over several days, maybe weeks, that I'll forget about the slow slog to get there. So as you can see, I'm right, doubters. That's the tail end of this particular spinning obelisk. Was it tetrahedron? Maybe. Anyway, let's talk to landing gear control here. Keep your concentration up. Do everything normally. I know you're talking to the internet.
Docking request granted.
So, docking request granted is, you know, it comes as a sigh of relief to everyone who's motored their way through this game, because you will, on more than one occasion, I guarantee you, forget to ask for permission to land. And it's usually early on, and it only takes a couple of times of failing to ask for permission to land before you never do it again. Because if you don't make it out in time, because basically what will happen is you'll be this close. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a manoeuvre. There we go. You might go, dude, you've got slaves and they're scanning you. I know, they're legal. Yeah, so you'll make it through to here, or you'll punch it through to here, because they'll have said you have 30 seconds to clear the dock, or you'll be declared hostile. And you kind of go, oh knickers. So you pull an abrupt about face as soon as you get in the landing dock, and then you try and clear off again. But I once forgot to seek clearance driving a Type 6, which is the baby brother of this particular ship. And I had a full cargo at the time, and I'd spent almost every penny on that. I had just enough to pay off the insurance cost, because I couldn't make it back out in time because it wasn't a very fast ship. There you go. So yeah, it's something every pilot goes through, everybody learns. As you'll see, look, we're down about $5,000 on this mission from the last one, because the prices have all fluctuated again. Still, that's taken me from, you know, 6 million's worth of balance into 7 million's worth of balance. I'm relatively happy with that. Let's get out of here. I would give you a couple of guesses as to where I was going to next, but I think you know. And it's not that the game doesn't give you things to do. There are things to do in the game. I just don't want to do most of them. It's got a problem of size.
Retracted.
You know, several people have griped about elite and its dangerous nature. Everybody else is flying upside down. Look, oh, a strange bunch of people. But you know, because I backed this thing on Kickstarter. Hello, what's Lightman on about? That does not fill me with confidence. People have been griping about it. The always online nature of the stock market. I'm I'm okay with that. It's not ideal, certainly, but it's not a deal breaker, neither. But you know, they set out to make a re-envisage of Elite Frontier, which was, when was that released? 1990, I guess. And I played the hell out of that thing. That was, you know, that was an awful lot of time spent playing that. You already know where you're going. You're just getting clear of Masslock, you idiot.
Frameshift drive charging.
Yeah, spent plenty of time playing Elite Frontier, and this is exactly the same game, and that was single player. And it's a game where you have to make your own objectives. You have to set your own scheme.
Engage.
You know, where is the fun for you? Now, I like trading, as it happens. This, you know, monotonous back and forth stuff, I am all over it. Love it to tiny little pieces. I don't know why. It's just a strange thing that I like doing. Yeah, you do have to figure out your own objectives. The game isn't going to make them for you. Right, where are we going? Let's slow it down a bit. As I recall, we are relatively close to Bessel's Gateway. Especially if you're flying in the wrong direction. Yes, always sensible to slow down if you're going the wrong way. So here we go, back to Bessel once again. Magnificent. And there you go. So I'm going to record all of this, you know. I am. And I heartily invite you to come along for the ride as the kernel works towards getting a Python. Because it's not just about getting a Python. Python retails for about 59 million international Euro space bucks, and the ship you get when buying it is rubbish. It's absolutely lousy. All it is big, but what it doesn't have is an engine that will get you anywhere, or guns that can do very much, or the amount of cargo space you need in order to make any cash, or shields that can hold up to anything. It's basically the entry edition in the luxury car market, where they've, you know, almost gone as far as to take the seats out. So yeah, so it's not about getting 60 million quid together in order to buy the thing. The conventional wisdom is that you need closer to 90 in order for it to be even remotely functional, and that you'll end up spending about 130 on it. Now, I'm not prepared to grind to 130 million bucks worth of stuff, which is why I was working up my my Empire ranking, because I could have got the whichever one it is, the Clipper. Is it the Clipper? Yes, it is the Clipper, which is a snip at 22 million, and it's a damn sexy looking ship at the same time. In fact, I'll show you when I land. But you have to, in order to get that, you have to grind your Imperial relationship by doing
request granted.
missions, and I'm not interested. I mean, I gain a little bit of reputation with these two Imperial stations that I'm flitting between every time I make a trade, but not enough to really move the goalposts. Now, the speed limit coming into a station is 100 intergalactic future-style space miles per hour, and I do in a smaller ship. I'll go through the entry hatch at top speed.
Landing gear deployed.
Usually silent running. Easy now.
Docking successful.
Perfect landing.
Engines
Maybe a little on the
disengaged.
wonk, but a perfect landing nonetheless. What am I talking about? I don't know. Yeah, but in this big fella, you do need to come through at the speed limit, otherwise you will crash into it and buy some fuel. What was I going to show you? I was going to show you the Clipper. I think it's a Clipper. Pretty sure it's a Clipper. So here's the Courier, right? It's, you know, it's just a little weird looking. It's a bit too fat. Its side pods are kind of, they're kind of funky. But you see, then you get to... there's the Asp that I fly, again, a bit fat. There's the Type 7, which I am flying, which is very fat. And there's the Clipper, right? Look at that. That's a hunter-killer sports car of a ship, that one. That's magnificent. That's exactly what we want. And at 22,300,000, worth every penny. However, I can't buy one because the Empire doesn't like me enough. Screw you, Empire. Then there's the Type 9. Look at that. It's a good-looking beast. About as unwieldy as they come. And then, for those of you who work your way all the way up the Empire rankings, you get the Empire's kind of Corvette-class ship, which is very nice. 208 million. And that's obviously the 208 million where it's still got wires hanging out internally, and, it makes you sit on a milk crate. And instead of a steering wheel, you've got a clamp over the top of it, and you have to use that. It's basically the version of the ship that someone has nicked and then stripped all the good stuff out of it. I don't think it even comes with a sat nav. There you go. That will do it for this time around. Join me for the next episode of The Colonel Wants a Python, where I'm pretty certain I'll do the same thing. So, that's the kind of exciting, high-octane, thrill-a-minute giggle fest that we're likely to be getting into here. Thank you very much for watching today. Chuck us a like, subscribe if you've not done so already, and I will be back with you in the very near future. Thanks for watching, and cheerio.
Listen.